Hello and welcome. Today I will be showing you how to answer technically the EMS for Children online survey regarding pediatric medical direction and equipment for EMS agencies that is going on in every state. The example I'll be using today was granted to us by Minnesota, so I'll be showing theirs as a live example for you. When you get into the survey, the very first page is a welcome, and this page gives you some important information, and they're listed in the bullets here, as you can see. And the first one is that since Minnesota is collecting on medical direction as well as equipment, they're expecting their survey to take approximately 30 minutes long. The second bullet item is items marked with a red asterisk require a response. What that means is anytime you see a question with red asterisks, you must answer that question before you can proceed to the next page of the online survey. According to the next bullet, respondents are able to leave the survey at any point if they are unable to complete it in one setting. To do so, they need to click on the Save and Exit button, and this button is located at the bottom of the screen, as you can see here. What happens is once they click on that, a window will pop up that will ask them to enter an email address. The email address is very important. You'll want to enter an email address of where you want the system to send you an email with the link for you resuming the survey. And you can go back and edit responses at any time. The next bullet is concerning the tab key, and the tab key can be used to navigate between response boxes, and this is very useful when you get into the equipment section of the survey. And I might use survey and reassessment or assessment interchangeably, but I mean the same thing. The software will also allow you to edit your answers by using the back button, which is located at the bottom of the screen, and it will be located here. You do not see it on this page because we are on the first page of the survey. Oftentimes respondents use the back button and the forward button located in the browser. Please do not use those, as the system is not designed to function with those, and it will mess up your survey as well as your responses. So once again, do not use the forward and back browser buttons. Use the buttons located on the actual page of the online survey. Another thing to keep in mind is the finish button, and we'll go over that. You'll see that at the end. Once you hit the finish button, all responses are considered final and are submitted to the system. Also, the last point is for you is your answers will be kept confidential. What this means is no agency will be singled out and reported individually. All agencies will reported on the state level with all the other agencies located in that state. So let's go ahead and proceed. In some areas I will gloss over because they are not very technical and to save your time. So as you can see here, it's asking for some demographic information. This is in case the program manager needs to follow up with you. I'm just going to enter some fake information, test, so that you can see that. And I have to do that because there's red asterisks on this page. And this page might look a little different in your state. It just depends. And if you look here at state, it says Minnesota. And since I knew I wanted to be in the Minnesota, I'm fine with that. However, if you see a state name that's different than your state that you're located in, you'll want to go back and enter the correct state through the survey portal, which is not demonstrated here. So I'm going to hit next, and once again, remember I had mentioned that back button. It's right here. In Minnesota, the inspectors are actually entering the information for each agency, so they are not requiring this information right here about the person completing the survey because it's essentially the inspector. So I'm going to skip over that. Next, and now we're going to get into the survey itself very quickly. And in this example, you can see question 12 for Minnesota, and it's asking the agency to indicate the highest level of state licensure for your EMS agency. And they have BLS and ALS listed here. This wording will be different depending on which state you're in, but Minnesota only has these two levels, so that's why only these two are listed here. So just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to simply select basic and then no for the medical direction questions, because these are non-technical, and then next. So we've now completed the medical direction, and yours will look slightly different based on the terminology that your state uses, but also if I'd answered yes to any of those medical direction questions, it would have taken me to some additional questions. So now we're to the equipment, and this is based on vehicles operated by your agency. And for the purposes of this assessment, we are only concerned with agencies that operate ground transporting vehicles. So I enter yes for this case, for this demonstration, and then it says please indicate the total number of ground vehicles that your agency operates that transport patients from scene to hospital. I'm going to use 4 as the example for this. But keep in mind, you probably have other questions. I know in some states, the level of the essentially ambulance changes based on the provider. We are not concerned with the type of provider, but how the vehicle is stocked. So you'd have to think about, when you're answering this, how is that vehicle stocked? Is it stocked as a BLS vehicle? Then you would answer as though it's a BLS, and I'll get into that shortly. And vice versa also for ALS. Is it stocked as ALS? We don't want any double counting, because also in some states all vehicles are stocked, or several vehicles are stocked as BLS, and then you put specific or add specific pieces of equipment to make it ALS. In those cases you would answer those for those vehicles as though they're BLS. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next, and the system is smart. It knows I entered 4 total vehicles. So it's asking how many of the 4 are BLS, and it's saying BLS in this case because that was the terminology Minnesota's using, and how many of those 4 are ALS. And then the note at the bottom says the 2 entries should sum up to 4. 3 plus 1 equals 4. So I hit next. And here's a verification page. So if I looked at this and I saw an error, I could hit the back button. By doing that, it'll take me back. But mine are right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit next and next. And since I had entered at least 1 for the total number of BLS vehicles, BLS equipment list will come up for me. And as you can see here, it says BLS. It might differ in your state depending on which levels you have. But the next sentence is also important. The following equipment is recommended by the National EMS for Children program and may not correspond with, in this case, Minnesota's equipment list. That's because we recognize the fact that the EMS for Children program list is likely different than your state or your agency list. And then there's also an example below to show you how to answer, because this is reporting on how many of your vehicles carry each piece of equipment and not based on inventory. So I'll go ahead and hit next. When I do that, the system is smart and it knows I put in 3 BLS. So it puts that information in here. It reminds me as a respondent how many vehicles I had said and what type of vehicle am I talking about. So to save time, I am going to quickly enter numbers, and this is where I can use that tab key to navigate very quickly. But you as a respondent want to either look directly at the vehicles, or if you had an inspection form that had recently been done that you could refer to for your vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And there's several pages for the BLS equipment. Go ahead. Next. And this is the last page of the BLS equipment list. So I'm going to go ahead and enter some numbers here. And then you're going to notice I'm going to enter some slightly different ones for the last 2. And I hit next because I entered a 1 for AED and a 0 for weight-based tape, which is also commonly referred to as a Brazo tape. Hit next. When I do that, then I get a verification page because it's reminding me I had said 3 vehicles. So it's verified that none of the answers you provided, or that I provided in this case, are larger than 3. So I scroll down and look down, and none of the numbers are larger than 3. Because remember, we do not want an inventory. So I'm fine with that. And I think everything I've entered is correct. So I'll hit next. And now it's asking me, it's reminding me, I had said I had 3 BLS vehicles. How many carry all of the equipment items listed on that previous page, but they're also listed here. So remember, I couldn't enter a number, I shouldn't enter a number greater than 3 because that's how many total vehicles I have. And so I have to look at how many carry all. And you might think, well, all of these pieces of equipment are on all of our ambulances, but not these, but it doesn't matter because they're not part of our state or agency list, so I can go ahead and answer 3. In this case, no, since the lowest number I reported was 0, I would have to enter 0 because this is concerning all of the EMS for children equipment. So I'd enter 0, and then I would hit next. And now I get the ALS list because I had said at least 1 ALS vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And it reminds me I had said 1, so I'm just going to save time and quickly enter 1s in here. I'm intentionally entering an 11 there. I'll show you why. And next. As you can see, the ALS equipment list is slightly longer than the BLS, which is to be expected because the higher scope of practice. And keep that in mind. This assessment is not looking at your scope of practice, but simply if you carry individual pieces of equipment, and the program does understand that you might not because of scope of practice, and that's fine. We're just trying to assess where all the equipment out there. This page is a little different. It's talking about the ET tubes, and it's asking at least 2 size, in this case 2.5. So it's asking of the 1 ALS vehicle how many of that carry 2 of each one of these sizes. Next. And then it's asking me to verify that none are larger than 1, and I look down to the screen and I say, oh, I have an 11. So I need to edit that because I can't have any greater than 1. So I have to hit back, and it was likely I had a typo because I was so hitting the tab key not quite fast enough. So I navigate back to where I have that 11, and I had a typo in that case. It should have been a 1, so I can change that. And as you can see, it always saves all of my responses from the previous questions. So it's not like I have to re-enter those. And now it's asking me to verify again. I look through, yay, they're all 1 or less. And since I didn't report 0 for any one of these, and I have 1 for every one, I can enter a 1 here for how many ALS carry all. Then I hit next and comments. And there's also some additional research questions, but to save time, I'm going to enter no for this. Hit next. And this is that finish button I spoke about earlier. Once I hit this button, my survey will be considered 100% done and submitted, and I cannot go back and edit anything. I can do save and exit if I want to go back and verify something. I can also hit back to edit anything. But I'm going to go ahead and click finish because we are done. And now all the responses have been submitted. Likely though in your state this last page will look a little different. It will probably have a picture of a little boy and it says thank you and your responses have been submitted. So I thank you for your time, and that is how the technical way of entering a survey for the EMS reassessment.